In today's video, we're going to be attempting to build a World Cup limited team for less than £250. If you haven't yet signed up to Sorare and you are looking to do so, there's a link in the description of my video that will get you one free limited card once you've purchased 5 from the new card auctions over on Sorare. Signing up will also allow you entry into the Sorare Global Cup 2022. It's completely free to play. There's some incredible prizes on offer, such as getting the chance to play 5-a-side with Zinedine Zidane. The last couple of videos on my channel have all been to do with scouting for the Sorare Global Cup, so if you are interested in submitting a team for that, go watch those videos. I hope they'll be of value to you. But today's video is all about building a team for this international special division on Sorare, okay? There's 5,800 participants as we speak. And the good thing about this competition the Sorare are putting on for every match day of the World Cup, so this is match day 1. And yeah, of course, limited, you do have to spend money to buy them. They're not free like the common cards are in the Global Cup. So the Global Cup, like I said, is completely free to play. This is my Global Cup team that I'm going in with for match day 1. They're completely free. I didn't pay a penny for any of these players. But yeah, this video is all about, can we build a limited international team for this World Cup? Competitions covered Global Cup, so the 5 players that you play in this lineup have to play in the World Cup effectively. They don't have to start necessarily, but they do need to be in the World Cup. The requirements are captain is a limited, of course, and that card score is increased by 50%. And of course, you can only play limited only. Here are all the matches in match day 1 that we're going to be covering, and then the prize pool, okay? Prize pool's looking really tasty. So top 3 get a star limited card, which could be a card like, as you can see here, Mbappe, Kimmich, Neymar Jr., Messi, Alisson, any of the big guns basically. And these are all sellable. So obviously these are limited cards. You can definitely sell them, trade them, whatever you want to do with them. The Star Custom Series, which we can't yet see, are going to be the national team cards, which are only going to be collectible, but you can trade and sell them. So they will have some sort of value, but they're only going to be worth what somebody's willing to pay for it effectively. There's Ethereum as well. So they're giving away 850 euros for first place, 500 euros for second, and 338 for third. But this is happening on every match day for the World Cup, right? I think there's 7 match days. This is match day 1. But the amazing thing about this international special for me is that everyone wins a card, right? So if you look down here, the bottom 30 to 100% of the players playing in this competition will win a tier 3 custom series, which is a national team card effectively. Like I said, they don't have any utility in the game. You can't use them in any other competitions. They're just a collectible. And I think Sorare are trying to push the collectability side of cards way more now, which I think is great. But they are tradable and they are sellable if you do end up winning them and wanting to sell them / trade them. So if you were to build a team for this limited international special, you would win a card every game week effectively. It might only be a tier 3 if your cards don't perform that given game week, but nonetheless, you will be leaving with something, which is great because normally that isn't the case on Sorare. Normally, it's only the top 10, top 30, top whatever percent. In this international special, everyone wins a card. Obviously, the higher up you finish, the better that card's going to be, of course, and most likely the more valuable that card is going to be. So we're going to be building a 5-man limited team for this World Cup, okay? I've tried to do it on a budget. Obviously, £250 is what we're going with. But I've also made it a priority to tick these 3 boxes, right? I want them to be starters for their team, of course, ideally. Otherwise, they're not really going to score you points in the game, especially if they're a goalkeeper. Outfielders can, of course, come off the bench and score points, don't get me wrong, but most likely you're going to score the most points if you are a starter for your national team. Second of all is utility beyond the World Cup. I don't think it's smart, really, and none of this is financial advice, of course, so don't go taking what I say as gospel. But if I'm going to buy 5 players for the World Cup, ideally I want those 5 players to be able to play for their club after the World Cup. I don't want to buy 5 players that play for their national team and then they go back to their club football and they don't play a minute, basically, which is quite unlikely, but for the most part that can happen. And that's why utility beyond the World Cup, i.e. they can play for their club after the World Cup ends and score you points and try and win you cards, is important for me. And then the third criteria was for them to be playing for a team in the World Cup that is likely to go beyond the group stages. I'm looking for players who play on teams that are going to finish either first or second in their group effectively. Because the more games they play in the World Cup, the more times you can enter this international competition, and then subsequently, the more prizes you can win. So we're going to need to pick a goalkeeper, a defender, a midfielder, a forward, and an extra player. We're doing this over over on Sorare Data's concept builder. And for the goalkeeper, it was a weird one, right? I'm going to go with Remco Pasveer. I've heard he's just got the number 1 jersey for the Dutch team. I don't know how much you can read into that, but Justin Bijlo's been given the number 13. Pasveer's been given the number 1. As we can see here, Pasveer has kept 2 clean sheets in his last 2 Netherlands starts, which is obviously big going into a World Cup in terms of the manager trusting you, etc. I think Justin Bijlo was injured at the time though, so he couldn't even play if he wanted to. But Pasveer stepped up for his national team and got 2 clean sheets in the last 2 games, right? So that can only be a good thing going into the World Cup in terms of earning trust from the manager. He is 39, so don't get me wrong, he's not a player that's going to be around for the next 5 years, okay? So when I said utility beyond the World Cup, yes, he's going to go back and play for Ajax for the rest of the season, I imagine, but I don't know what's going to happen beyond that. But I definitely do know he will be playing for Ajax after the World Cup. Another reason why I've picked him is because he's a budget player, right? He costs £90. If we go over to Sorare and type in Pasveer, we can see that I think he's trading for roughly, well, he's listed for, £89, 87. You can get him for just under £90, okay? Which for us, on a budget, is very helpful. The rest of the goalkeepers at the World Cup, barring Bono, that plays for Morocco, who I don't think is going to get out of the group stage, is basically over £200, and that is just way over budget, right? So we are having to take a gamble on Pasveer. I'll be honest, there's no guarantee he's going to start. This is just my hunch. This is all my opinion. None of this is financial advice. But if this does come off and Pasveer does start the first game and gets a clean sheet, then you're in luck, because I do fancy Netherlands to qualify from their group and go pretty far in this tournament. I'm going to be choosing 2 defenders, one as my extra player and one, of course, in the defender slot. They both play for Denmark. We've got Joachim Maheli and Rasmus Christensen, right, that plays for Leeds. Now, Denmark, for me, are going to go through in this group stage. Of course, they have France in their group. It's not going to be easy for them. But what we do know is Denmark have France's number right now, and it wouldn't surprise me if Denmark turned France over in this World Cup. I think they easily cruise past Tunisia and Australia and go through to the group stage games. And that was one of the criteria, of course, I said I wanted at the start of this video. I want players that have a very good likelihood to be qualifying out of the group stages. And going with 2 defenders, one being the extra player, of course, normally is a cheaper way of building a Sorare lineup. If you go with another forward or midfielder, you tend to find that they are going to end up costing you a little bit more. Right now, you can pick up Joachim Maheli for £40 and Christensen for £25. Going with the double Denmark defense, I fancy both of them to start most of their games. I think Denmark have a great chance of getting a clean sheet in their first game against Tunisia, and of course that is only going to benefit Maheli and Christensen's scores. And you've got a nice correlation as well with going with 2 defenders, i.e. if they do get clean sheets, you're getting double the points. Of course, if they don't get the clean sheet, then it's double negative for you, so it's kind of a high risk, high reward type of strategy, but I do like it personally. Just looking over on Sorare Data for Joachim Maheli's scores for Denmark, and as you can see here, he's a bit of a beast. 98, 83, 74, 60, 80, 76, 60s, 64, 68, obviously a few 40s in there as well. But for the most part, this guy just scores it very, very well for his national team. He plays left back mainly. He seems to get on the decisive actions as well, with a lot of goals, a lot of assists from defense, which is a very nice perk for a player only worth £40. And this is the type of player that could end up scoring 100 against Tunisia if they get a clean sheet, if he gets a nice assist, if he makes a lot of attacking actions in the game. I really do see him benefiting from that, and for me could make the perfect budget defender. In terms of Christensen's scores for Denmark, they're not as good as Maheli's, to be completely honest. He doesn't start as much as Joachim Maheli has. He's a bit more veteran in that national team. But the latest game that Christensen had against France in a 2-0 win, a 41 AA score, which is absolutely huge. Just looking at this here, clean sheet, double-double, 3 tackles won, 5 effective clearances, 3 interceptions, 53 accurate passes, and he got 1 penalty area entry as well. If his scores are going to be anything close to what they were in that last game against France, then you are in for a treat, because that plus Joachim Maheli's scores as well, who I think are going to be pretty correlated. If one's playing right back, one's playing left back, I think they'll be very attacking against Tunisia. I think they're going to score a couple of goals, and you've just got to hope that these 2 are involved decisively, whether that's an assist, penalty, 1 goal, any of the above, and I think you're in luck. As our midfielder, I'm going to go with Filip Kostic, who plays for Serbia and Juventus. A player that I really rate. He's a player that takes set pieces, which is massive for me and how I normally structure my gallery. I like players who take set pieces. They have more probability of getting goals, of getting assists, attempted assists, whatever it is. They end up scoring better for the most part. They have more ball involvement. He's playing in a Serbia team that I really think are dark horses for this tournament. They're in a decent enough group. I think they'll finish second to Brazil in this group. Switzerland aren't no mugs, don't get me wrong, but I think Serbia have a little bit too much for them. I don't really see Cameroon troubling Serbia too much. And for that reason, as well as him playing for Juventus. He plays well for Juventus. As we can see here over on Sorare data, the guy scores amazingly well. Let's just be completely honest. Look at this. An 89 against Inter, 2 assists, and 19 AA score. Didn't do much against Hellas Verona in a 1-0 win. Got a 13 AA on the weekend against Lazio in 64 minutes. Other than that, though, there's a few assists flying in there. There's some decent AA scores without assists, 18.2 here. The guy just loves an assist. He's got an amazing left foot. And I think for £40, he's a decent enough pickup where I think Serbia will qualify. I think you're getting a decisive player who plays for a great team in Juventus right now. And to be honest, I think he makes the ideal candidate of a captain of this team. As we can see here, card scores are increased by 50%. So I think Kostic could work out as the best captain choice for this team. I know we haven't gone over the forward yet, but he is the most decisive, capable. He is the most likely to get a goal, to get an assist for his national team. And if, of course, you have captained him, that is only going to do good things for your team's scores. Okay, so I had a little bit of trouble picking the forward, right? I've got two options. I've thrown in Hervin Lozano for right now of Mexico, plays for Napoli. He's a great player. He's been around for a little while now. You're able to pick him up on Sorare for £50. And if you believe that Mexico can get out of this Group C, we know that Argentina are going to qualify first, if we're being honest. I'd be very shocked if I was proven wrong there. You've basically got Poland and Mexico fighting for the second position, right? And depending on who you think has the better team, has the better chance of qualifying, then that is going to depend on who you're going to pick up front in this team. And that's the same for me. And I know I can't pick it after the fact. I need to pick it before, of course. But gun to my head, I would probably say Poland because I think they defend a little bit better. I think Mexico could be prone to being scored on too much. They might score a few goals, but I don't see them being as tight at the back as Poland are going to be. So for me, Lozano is standalone the better forward of the two options. I know I haven't showed you the second option yet, and he's the more expensive option as well. But my second option is a £25 Karol Swiderski. He's playing for Charlotte FC right now. He is a forward for Poland. I was lucky enough to watch him play actually against Wales not too long ago in game week 308 here, where he actually scored a goal in 65 minutes, got a 17.4 AA score. They beat us. He was very, very good. He took his goal very, very well. He played up front and started with Lewandowski. The only issue with this is I don't know if he's definitely going to start for Poland. Poland have another couple of good forwards in their lineups. Piatek, Milik, they have a few good guys up there. But in the most recent game, Karol Swiderski was the decisive player in that game. And in terms of earning trust from the coach, I think that goes a long way. And it wouldn't surprise me if we saw him start in this first game against Mexico. He does also play for Charlotte FC in the MLS. And to be completely honest, guys, he is an absolute baller. I've watched him play twice now. I watched him play against Orlando at one of the Sorare meetups in the US. And then, like I said, I watched him play against Wales. And he is so classy. He's a number 9, but he's not really a number 9. I think he's more suited to a 10 role. He has an amazing left foot. He has great ability on the ball. For a tall player, he has really good dribbling, really good agility. And he can score goals. We can see here 2 goals here against Chicago Fire, an assist against New York City. Some really nice dark green scores is what we want to see. And Charlotte are only going to get better. They were only in the MLS for last season. They were a completely new team. And I do see Karol Swiderski playing football at the World Cup. Do I think he's going to start? I don't know. It's hard to say, guys. But I do think at £25, it could be worth it. And like I said, it depends on who you think is going to qualify from that Group C. Whether it's Mexico, you go with Chucky Lozano, or whether you think it's Poland, you go with Karol Swiderski. Swiderski is the cheaper option, like I said, at £25. So with a lineup floor value of just under 0.2 Ethereum, which is roughly £225, I think this team could do some damage. And for me, they're players that do have utility after the World Cup. Pasveer is the only one I'm a little bit worried about in terms of, one, is he even going to start ahead of Bilo? The fact that he's got the number 1 jersey tells me he probably should. He got 2 clean sheets in the last Dutch games. So for me, I think things are swaying towards him right now. The rest of these players, I do see starting in my opinion. And I do see Kostic, I do see Mahaley, I do see Christensen and Swiderski being decisive for their nations. They play for nations that aren't in the upper echelon of nations at this World Cup, but they're playing for teams who can definitely qualify through the group stages and go further on in the tournament. Like I said, the great thing about this international special is as long as you've got 5 players that are playing at the World Cup, you will be in the cards. There's no way you cannot finish without a tier 3 custom series, which is great. I'm not saying that that card is going to be worth the same amount as you're going to put into this team, because it probably won't be, but that is why I was saying you shouldn't just buy players for the sake of the World Cup for the most part. Maybe 1 or 2 here and there, but just to buy a whole team, I don't think makes too much sense unless they have utility after the World Cup. And for me, this team definitely does. Pasve's is going to play for Ajax, Mahali's going to play for Atalanta, Christensen's going to play for Leeds, Swiderski's going to play in the MLS when that restarts, and Kostic is going to play for Juventus. So I don't think it's a horrible idea to buy a team similar to this for the International Limited Cup, to get involved and try and win some of these amazing national team cards, as well as some of the better prizes, of course. And then beyond that, you're able to then play this team in the All-Star Limited and compete for prizes. Okay, I hope you have enjoyed that video, guys. If you did, please do leave it a like. And if you are new to my channel, please do subscribe. I'm going to be interested to see how that team does get on in the first 3 group stage games, where that team would finish in the International Special in terms of rankings and what prizes it could win. Let me know if you've picked up any limiteds for this International Special, who they are, and your reasoning for doing so in the comment section. I hope you have a great day. I hope your drafts are coming along great for the Global Cup, and I shall see you guys in the next video.